This week on Multiverse News, it's trailer week with Toy Story 5, House of the Dragon Season 3, and more dropping exciting new looks, plus the 2026 BAFTAs winners and losers, and Sony is rebooting its failed spin-off verse. All of that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name's J. Scotty St. Clair, and with me on the panel this evening, we've got Haley Hobbs. What's going on?
Oh, hello. I'm here with more obscure space facts this time. It's about apparently a planetary alignment happening on Saturday, so everybody go check it out. Space facts.
What does that mean for me, though? Is that going to affect my
That means go see some planets, Jay.
That means there's going to be a convergence, and you need to be prepared.
Yeah. The dark elves are going to drop out of the sky. Where is Thor? And why is he crying?
Yeah, I love it. Between the bloodworm moon and now this astrological event, we've got all the space facts. I love it. Great way to kick off the show. Yeah. And that other voice you heard was Jay Sisson. Welcome, Jay. What's going on?
So speaking of space facts, I heard we were getting some, the United States government was going to be dropping some UFO files in the next week or two. So
UAP.
Maybe we have to do a
UAP.
breakdown. Excuse me, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
We don't
for
recognize
those
UAP
who
on
are
this
not,
podcast.
who are not woke to the alien information. But we may have to do like a breakdown pod on the UAP files. I mean,
there we go.
Tangent talk.
Yeah.
I want to believe.
Put your tinfoil hats on.
First, you have to craft one.
All right, well, we might have to make it a tradition to kick off the show with space facts here, because normally we kick off the show with a new 5-star review, but alas, there is no new 5-star review this week. So if you want to, put some stars up in the sky, preferably 5 in that specific quantity, you know what to do.
I'm acting things out like we're live streaming and we're not.
And we've also said before, if you need this extra boost to post your review, make your review a question you'd like us to talk about to start the show, or something you'd like for us to discuss for a minute or two before the show starts, because we'll indulge it most of the time, as long as it's not weird. So
it could be a little weird. Just
it
not
could be,
too
yeah,
weird.
We can definitely get weird. It's just
if it's weird, we're going to tell you it's weird too.
Absolutely.
We're not going to hold back.
All right, well, speaking of not holding back, let's just get right into the show and kick things off with our trailers. So, capitalizing on a week somewhat bereft on big news, several studios offered new and first looks at their upcoming tentpoles, both TV and movies alike. So let's talk about what stood out. First up was Toy Story 5. What do we think?
Yeah, I wondered when I heard that Toy Story 5 was coming, like, do we really need a Toy Story 5? And I thought that, to be fair, after Toy Story 4. I really liked Toy Story 3. I thought, like most millennials, I think this is a common millennial opinion, that Toy Story 3 was a good closure for the franchise.
So
and then
sad.
It was very dramatic, and in a good sort of goodbye to childhood in a way, which was hit a lot of people in a certain way. It did me. And then Toy Story 4 came around, and I thought Toy Story 4 was fine. I thought it did a good job, at least at introducing enough new characters and playing the hits that it justified its own existence enough to be there. And typically, I'm not a person who thinks, let's go back to this franchise again for a 5th time, unless it has something really impactful or new or interesting to say. And so when I heard, all right, Toy Story 5's happening, that was the first thought, was like, do we really need a Toy Story 5? Like, is Tom Hanks really that broke that he needs to come back and be Woody again? Like, there's really, I mean, come on, we can move on. Let's reboot it with some different toys or something. I don't know if you want to keep making Toy Story. But then I saw the premise for the movie, that it had to do with the tension between toys and imagination, and then this budding world of technology, and how technology is, increasingly kind of encroaching on childhood sooner and sooner. And after seeing the trailer, which that seems to be the focus of the movie, which is that the villain is an iPad, right. Which is, to me, like, when I see that, I am immediately drawn in by the premise, because when I see that, I'm walking away saying, all right, you're saying something, and you're saying something unique, and you're making a statement. I'm a parent. I have my own sort of opinions and views on how I raise my own children, and I won't get into that here. But what I will say is I think this movie has a chance to say something that's probably needed and probably a powerful message, and probably has a lot of relevant and pertinent information about the changing world of childhood and how maybe not all change is good. So I'm interested. I think it looks like it has enough of a fresh take to say something new, at least from where I'm standing.
Yeah, I largely agree. Especially about like the necessity of a Toy Story 5. I felt much like you with Toy Story 4. Did we need it? Absolutely not. I thought it was pretty good. I struggle to remember what the general reception around Toy Story 4 was, but I think people liked it and it performed reasonably well enough. But I don't know if it's really had the lasting power. And to your point, I think people still kind of look to 3 as where the franchise should have ended as a trilogy there. But I really liked this trailer. And what stood out to me is that I felt an air of confidence that I think might be lacking from Disney with a lot of their output, specifically around trailers. That's not to say I haven't liked the trailers that they've put out there, but I've gotten the sense that like they're playing the cards very close to the chest. Or is it the chest or the vest? I always get that
The vest
play on
or the
I
chest.
think it's
Okay.
The vest
Both.
on your chest.
That's right. Let's go with that. So yeah, this just really felt like we know we have something good on our hands and we're not afraid to flaunt it. And I thought that was great. There were a lot of things that stood out to me in terms of like Bonnie's imagination being represented in like a different artistic style. I thought that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Bringing back Woody. I mean, you got to bring back Woody. It's not Toy Story without Woody, but I did like the bald spot joke. That did get a guffaw, a chuckle out of me. But I will say I don't know if they're leaning into it on purpose, but Tom Hanks, like you can just hear it in his voice. He's not as young as he once was, and I don't know if that's trying to say something like toys actually do age in this world, because they make a lot of points to say like you're an old toy. This device is looking at you like you're old. So yeah, for all those reasons, I thought it was a really great showcasing for the film and just kind of increased my overall excitement for it. I'm not a parent, but I do have young nieces and nephews, and it did stir the same kind of thoughts in me. Like if I did have a kid, what age would I allow them to start to use those kind of devices? And I would probably be the kind of parent that I would probably be resented, because I'm thinking, not till like 4th or 5th grade. Like you got to get those basic skills. You got to learn how to be able to interact with the real world. But yeah. It does bring the questions like, is that putting them at a disadvantage by not letting them just have that intrinsic, like instinctual familiarity with technology? But I think overall, we as a society are learning what the impact when you expose developing minds to, just technology 24/7. It's not the best thing in the world. So again, Disney is often the biggest hypocrite with their messaging. Like they feel like the villain that they're constantly having in their films so often, this one included. But yeah, I thought it was a strong trailer, and I'm pretty excited to see this story play out.
Yeah, and we don't need to. I won't go too social commentary here. I know we're going to move on in a second, but I would
not
say
before I have my say.
A good resource on this that I found, if you're listening and you're a parent and you're interested in this conversation, the best resource I found on this was a book called The Anxious Generation. I'm not saying that something that a lot of people haven't heard of. It's an extremely well-selling book, and it's kind of the book on these changing. Sort of like the what the research says about technology and how long you should wait on, especially social media, for youth. And spoiler alert, his view is that it should be very late to introduce these things to children. So, I like Scotty. You said the confidence. Yeah, like we're not just we have a good movie, but we feel like we have a good message, and we're not going to try to soften the message. We want the message to be impactful, and Toy Story's kind of done that in its history as a franchise. So I think it has the power to do that for sure.
Agreed.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm here to be a Toy Story 4 apologist, because my husband and I use Forky's line, "I'm trash," on a weekly basis, without a doubt. I'm trash. Like we use it for all kinds of situations. It's the funniest thing. I just remember laughing so hard about Forky and I'm trash, and it stays with me all these years later. I think the Toy Story franchise is uniquely positioned, and they wouldn't have known this in the 90s when they started doing it, to go on for a very long time, because generationally, what I'm hearing and reading is that the younger kids, and it's probably, I think it's like young Gen Z and some of Gen Alpha, they're going back. They want cassettes, they want records, they want physical media, and they're going out of their way to buy it off of eBay, out of stores, secondhand stores and stuff. And so Toy Story 6 or 7 could very well see the evolution of going back to tactile things and returning to what we had growing up, plus what we had as we were teenagers. Like, the millennials are so uniquely positioned as the last generation that, was able to play outside, and we had to learn about computers in school. Like, we were the first ones to start that whole tech transition in your life. And so I just really see this franchise going like a long ways. And I think that until Tom Hanks or Tim Allen are gone, which hopefully isn't for a long time, like, I don't think that they can get away from it, because I think they've found this bizarre storytelling device in toys that has staying power Pixar probably didn't realize they had.
For sure.
Yeah.
What you said about the potential for future sequels brought something to mind. Like, I think there is an argument to be made that you can see some parallels between Toy Story 5 and Toy Story 1, because it was Woody against the new toy, and now the new toy looks like this. So I kind of like what you're predicting about maybe we'll get a return to tactile toys, and maybe even a return to like nostalgia, because nostalgia's been, not only has it been like the motivating factor for a lot of films and properties, but it's starting to become part of the meta conversation. So I recall like Toy Story 2 in a way was a little bit of a conversation about nostalgia and what that can look like when it turns toxic. They could modernize that even further, and we could kind of see some repetition, or kind of like Star Wars. It's poetry. It all rhymes, right? Okay.
Everything
Also-
old is new again.
Also, Pixar's got to play the hits every once in a while,
Sure.
because anytime they try to put out a new property like Leo, it makes no money and loses money.
I hope Hoppers does well, because it looks great.
It's getting great
I think
reviews.
Hoppers looks
Yeah.
so weird.
It's getting great reviews, though. The problem is, though, I think a lot of families are just like, I really think a lot of families are like, Pixar's what I watch on Disney Plus. But if it's Toy Story, they're going to go to the theater for Toy Story.
Oh,
Yeah.
millennials will be
So-
seeing Toy Story in their
Yeah.
80s. Come on, you guys.
So if you're Pixar, you're like, we got to do it again. We might as well at least make it good. We got to stay financially
I also want to say,
alive.
like, just love the animation style of Toy Story, that early original Pixar. It's, in my opinion, it's so much better than the new stuff they're doing now. What's it called? Like the bean animation.
I've
It's
heard
not
of
for
potato
me. It's not my
people,
aesthetic.
bean
Yeah.
people.
And so
Yeah.
I'm like, back to the original. I like it.
All right, let's move on to Westeros and House of the Dragon Season 3.
Oh, this trailer rocked. Get ready to have your heart broken many times over in season 3 of House of the Dragon. I don't have a lot to say about it other than I just thought it looked really good, and I'm excited. I'm excited for more dragons.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is in an interesting position right now, because Night of the Seven Kingdoms has had incredible streaming numbers over the last couple weeks. It's been peaking
Because it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's a perfect example of like when a weekly release strategy works. If you had dropped that show all at once, nobody would have talked about it. Like, people who are Game of Thrones people would talk about it, but it would have sparked and then been gone. But the fact that it was drawn out, like, I saw just chatter every week increasing and increasing and increasing, like, as the week went on. And so much so that when you hit those later episodes, everybody's like, this is some of the best Game of Thrones. This is returning back to how I felt when I watched the series, So that franchise is doing something really cool, which is taking essentially a train that ran off the tracks with the end of the original show and really alienated a lot of people who loved that show and watched it as it was on, goes back to basics, does House of the Dragon, kills it, does Seven Kingdoms, killing it. Now they're doing House of the Dragon again, and there's a ton of Game of Thrones interest right now. So it's really a great time for that franchise, weirdly enough. And I think 6 years ago we wouldn't have said that, or whenever the finale season was airing. I don't remember what year that was, but I mean, I would have walked away saying that franchise is done. Like, just close it up. We had our heyday. It's over. You're trying to do prequels. Like, what are you? People are so done with Game of Thrones. That is not the case at all. This is not going to be the last season. This is confirmed that they will do a season 4 of House of the Dragon, but that is expected to be the last season. Is that season 4? So, 4 seasons out of a prequel. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, I really can't add too much more. Not only have I not seen House of the Dragon or Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but you kind of hit on everything that I was going to bring up. It just looks really cool. I don't know if we've ever seen dragons involved in a naval battle. I didn't stick around with the original run of Game of Thrones long enough to see how Targaryen was Emilia Clarke's character. Daenerys, yeah, how she employed the dragons once the battles got a little more large scale. But yeah, I think there is some real truth to the fact that there's like a new renewed fervor for all things Game of Thrones. And I think Night of the Seven Kingdoms is largely responsible for that. I haven't started it yet, but I think I'm waiting for it to be out in its availability, and I'm going to
The episodes are short.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm already interested. You tell me hour episodes. I don't know. I'm out.
Got to tape my eyeballs open.
Yeah, depends on the show. All right, let's finish up our trailer park with Lee Cronin's The Mummy. This was our second trailer for The Mummy after a brief teaser a couple months back.
I didn't watch it, so go forth.
Jay, I can't imagine you watched it with your...
I read the description.
Okay. I know you've got some hesitation.
I don't like
when it
horror
comes to
stuff,
horror.
okay?
I don't blame you for not checking this one out, because I remember when we got the first one, I laughed at it a little bit and made a lot of comparisons to the other Mummy franchise, the more swashbuckling franchise that we have with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz and a new one on the way here. But I gotta say, I liked that first trailer well enough, even though I was kind of wondering like what's going on here. Why are we putting Lee Cronin's name on it when he's only had 2 films thus far? But with this trailer, I was really reminded why they would want to attach his name to it, because he did Evil Dead Rise a few years back, and I just absolutely love that movie. I thought it delivered on all fronts, the practical effects, the scares, just keeping me on the edge of my seat, and with some really phenomenal performances. So this trailer basically sold me. It's coming out April 17th, and my anticipation has just really ratcheted up. This thing looks like it's going to be legitimately scary, unsettling, and it's early days, but I'm getting vibes of like Hereditary, the elevated horror, like the Babadook, things like that. So previously I was like, yeah, do we really need 2 versions of The Mummy when there's such a great one out there? But hey.
Apparently we need 3 versions of The Mummy.
What's the third one?
The Tom Cruise and Dwayne
right.
Johnson. Are those like in the same universe? I don't actually know. I've never seen them.
No, Dwayne Johnson is the Scorpion King, okay?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so if you're, even remotely interested or a horror buff or anything like that, and you haven't checked out this trailer, I highly encourage you to, because it looks like this one is going to be there. More and more we've seen like summer being kicked off with horror movies. Like last year it was Final Destination Bloodlines. I hope that this film has similar success if the quality's there, and based on this trailer, I think it will be.
I did think the premise sounded interesting. Like there was a short description of the premise. And yeah, I thought like it seemed like what it was doing was trying to build, this isn't just a mummy monster movie, but like here's the legitimate mystery behind the story. So
right.
I think the trailer seems to have done that, just kind of based on what I read about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first one, like the marketing campaign was all around like, where is this girl? What happened to this girl? And this trailer's like, well, this is what happened to her. It wasn't good. And what happens after isn't going to be good either. All right. Sunday night's 79th BAFTA Film Awards saw Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another dominate with 6 wins, including Best Film and Best Director. Sinners and Frankenstein each took 3 awards, while the night's biggest surprise came in Best Leading Actor, where Robert Aramayo beat out Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio. Marty Supreme walked away from 11 nominations completely empty-handed, tying the record for the most losses in a single year. So with all that in mind, who got BAF-Ted?
I'm going to say right up front, there is a lot of controversy a little bit around this year's BAFTA Awards, and what they
you could say
did
that
and
again.
didn't do isn't okay. Don't bleep one thing and not bleep the other, or let them all rip if you're going to be like that, but bleep things that need to, I don't know. It was not okay what they did with the not bleeping of certain things and the bleeping of other things. It's just not good. So we over here do not condone that. And it's unfortunate because Alan Cumming hosted the awards. I love Alan Cumming so much, and
Sure.
he's such a fun actor. And it sucks that like he hosted this year, and this year they have to, there's this controversy around it that shouldn't have, was avoidable, I'm going to say. So get it together, BAFTA. Do better next year all around. But we are, this is like the last big one before Oscars. So I think we're starting to see some more of the trends that we can probably expect. Nothing about any of these wins surprises me. I think one battle after another is the heavy favorite. Sinners, it would be nice if it was, but it's got that horror element to it that people of a certain echelon may not want to give too many things to. So glad it's getting awarded for some of the things that it is. But it's a heavy hitter year for sure. I don't know. I've just been bummed about, the things that they did this year, production wise. So on to the Oscars.
It is a shame when you have an event like this, and rather than being able to focus and celebrate on the winners, you are, the fact that something so heinous went down, whether it was intentional or whatever, is just a real shame. And do better, BAFTAs, from across the board for all the reasons Haley
And if you
mentioned
don't know
there.
what we're talking about, you can Google it.
Oh, yeah. It'll
Google
probably be one of the
BAFTA
first headlines that
controversy.
comes up for you. Yeah. But much like you, I just continue to be kind of impressed with the fact that one battle after another really seems like it's going to go the distance. It seems like it's the juggernaut. And again, I always have to provide the caveat, like one award show is not a one-to-one to another. But to your point, Haley, as we're getting closer and closer to the ceremony, I do think these other award shows are indicative of the kind of sentiment. And sometimes you'll see people get awarded things at certain ceremonies because there's an assumption that, oh, this person's getting the Oscar, so let's award someone else here or there. But whether this is a case of that or not, one of my favorite wins from this evening was the fact that Wumi Misako won for Sinners, because she's such a great part of that movie. I don't feel like she's been in as much of the conversation, but everything she's in, whether it's Hunter, B-15, in Loki, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or I remember one of the first things I ever saw her in was Lovecraft Country. She always brings it, always delivers, and I would just love to see her in more things. So I hope she gets her flowers and just runs with it. Am I surprised to see Marty Supreme get snubbed? Not really. As much as I like the movie, I think this is one of those cases where you have an actor like Timothée Chalamet, and there's been a lot of conversation about the way he conducts himself. And some people say, hey, that's confidence. We like to see that. Say the things. Put your desires out into the universe so that they can materialize. But I think despite, the controversy that we talked around earlier, I do think there's something to be said for English audiences and the English film community that they don't, it's a different way of conducting yourself and just a different caliber of acting there. I think that's why you see so many British and English actors take on American roles, just because it's almost, there's a certain pedigree to it, for lack of a better term. So I will say I have been kind of surprised that Frankenstein has been able to go the distance that it has. And I think that comes down to the campaign that they've been putting on. Like, it really helps that Jacob Elordi was just in Wuthering Heights, and that's getting some good buzz around it, particularly his performance. I haven't seen it, but that does surprise me, because I saw Frankenstein and I liked it. I thought it was really well made, but it just didn't have that wow factor for me. So I will be really curious when it comes to Oscars night. Is it going to be a little bit more of a sleeper hit than I'm expecting? Will we see, Marty Supreme and other films potentially walking away empty-handed, while something like that gets a lot of love? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's where the intrigue is with some of those other awards. Like, you're talking Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, like all of those screenplay. You know, Best Picture, I think at this point, it'd be absolutely shocking, I think, at this point for One Battle After Another to lose. I mean, we've talked about what chance does Sinners have, and when you're talking about that Best Picture, you've really kind of seen the playbook. You've seen the awards. We've talked about the lead up to the Oscars and how you can really kind of read the tea leaves before you actually get to the actual ceremony and the actual night. So I think we're pretty. You can pencil in one battle after another for sure, I think, for Best Picture. But when you start down to get to those other categories, it does start to get pretty close. And I think we've seen the gap certainly close between One Battle After Another and Sinners. And Sinners is going to get its due. Like it's gonna get its buzz on Oscar night. I don't think it'll win Best Picture, but it's not going to walk away empty-handed. And so I think, you know, we're kind of seeing the players emerge from the pack a little bit here. Your Sinners, your Frankenstein, like you mentioned, your Marty Supremes, and as we move closer and closer to the Oscars, I think there's a lot of work still to be done there and trying to figure out how that crowd actually shakes out on the actual night.
I think the true locks for the Oscars right now are One Battle for Best Picture, Sinners for score, so that Ludwig Göransson gets that, and Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, even though I have very strong opinions about that movie. I think the rest is a horse race. I would really like to see Timothée get Best Actor because I think the commitment and the portrayal of him and Marty Supreme was his best from what I've seen of him so far.
I don't disagree. You know, Wonka, he did his thing in Wonka, but Marty Supreme.
I haven't seen that.
I did. I'll be honest. I did like him in Wonka, and I liked Wonka a lot more than I expected to. But I was mostly joking.
If he doesn't get it here, he will get one eventually at some point in his career. He's too talented. I mean, he's too good.
And it is interesting that it's Timothée versus Leonardo DiCaprio because he's cited Leo as like an inspiration to him in his career. Like he said, he hasn't taken on superhero or comic book movies because Leo told him not to.
Yeah.
So.
Wait till those paychecks come a knocking.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, but he's in Dune. Okay.
But you did. I was just about to say, but you did Dune, my brother.
Okay, Timmy.
That's fair.
You do,
That's
you
fair.
boo boo. Whatever you say.
All right. Sony Pictures confirmed the studio's Spider-Man villain spin-off universe is getting a full reboot with new people and fresh creative direction following the back-to-back commercial and critical failures of Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter, the last of which topped out at just $62 million worldwide. On a related note, Sony is also moving forward with an animated Venom film tapping Final Destination Bloodlines directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein to helm the project, with Tom Hardy attached as a producer. No writer or script is in place yet, but a writer's room is being assembled at Sony Pictures Animation. With a live-action reboot on the horizon and Venom going animated, is Sony finally ready to stick the landing with its corner of the Spider-Man universe?
Rest in peace, Sonyverse. We will never forget you. You gave us such great memories, like It's Morbin Time, like Madam Web and studying spiders in the Amazon, like the time that the internet convinced you to put Morbius back in theaters again, and then you did, and it failed even more spectacularly the second time. And the Kraven the Hunter that you put out into the world and expected us to like. You know, it's really been an incredible run for the Sony cinematic universe built around Spider-Man. But the one that you mentioned, Venom, the animated film that is on the horizon, Venom is the only character that really had any commercial success out of the Sonyverse and did secure 3 movies and a pretty nice box office for all 3, by the way. But along the way, we definitely will mourn our loss in the Sonyverse. Now, why did the Sonyverse not work? Well, the movies were mostly terrible, but also too, it's the problem that for some reason no one at the highest level could identify, which we all have identified, and everybody right now that's listening to this is going to say it with me. It's because Spider-Man is not in these movies, and you're going to keep making Spider-Man villain movie after Spider-Man villain movie, but you're not going to include Spider-Man. And at some point, 4 or 5 whatever movies in, they figured it out that was just not the way to go, and that Venom was Spider-Man adjacent enough that it was fine, but all of the other ones were so random and so not connected to any characters that anyone cared about, that the situation that they built was just not going to work. And it took a lot of financial and commercial failures to finally crack that code. And so, okay, we're going to bring back the Sonyverse. And for context, this was asked of the CEO of Sony. I think he was on a podcast or an interview or something. The guy was just like, is the Sonyverse, like, is that dead? And he was like, no. They were like, are you doing it with new people? And he was like, yeah, we're doing it with new people. It's like, all right, like, if you have not learned the lesson, though, that you have to somehow connect these characters that you own hundreds of to the main character that everyone actually cares about, it literally does not matter. You can go out and you can make a Chameleon movie or a Doc Ock movie or whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, if you're not tying these to the flagship, you might as well just put your money in the shredder, and we can have this conversation again in another decade or whatever. So, we're looking at Tom Holland. We're wondering what his future looks like in the MCU. He's getting up there a little bit. He's probably not going to want to play Spider-Man forever. You've got to assume that there's a conversation going on at Sony, like, all right, we're going to change the guard with Tom Holland at some point. So what does that mean for us, right? Like, what does that mean for us going forward? If Tom is out after Secret Wars or whatever, then what is going to be our plan going forward? Are we going to try to bring in a Miles Morales character? Are we going to still try to play nice with the MCU and share our characters over there or not? Or are we going to really try to pull this universe back into our own control where we're not really crossing wires with the MCU hardly at all, really? So, this is expected, I guess, on some level, but also just, you gotta make some serious changes to what you did the first time if you want it to actually stick.
Yeah, I had some similar thoughts to you, Jay, particularly about, like, surely they learned the lesson, right? They learned the lesson. They're going to include Spider-Man this time. So what is that going to look like? Is that with Tom Holland probably reaching the end of his tenure, are they looking for an opportunity to write him out and include Miles Morales so that Miles Morales can be our Spider-Man in the MCU, which opens you up to recasting Peter Parker for your Sonyverse? Or do you want to have Miles Morales, do you want that cohesion and the benefit of being connected to the MCU? And is Kevin Feige even going to allow that with the way things panned out last time? And I guess being optimistic, that's kind of my hope, is maybe Sony's like, okay, we failed so miserably. Let's take a step back. What's working for us outside of the animation is everything that we're doing in partnership with Disney and Marvel. So maybe we let them be a little bit more involved with what our future looks like. But as I say that, I know I'm placing too much faith in Sony. So whatever that looks like, I remember back in the heyday of the Sony Spider-Verse here, Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse, Sonyverse, whatever we want to call it. A lot of people were like, oh, they're going to bring back Andrew Garfield, and we're going to get the revelation that this was all in Andrew Garfield's universe. And yeah, I think the time has passed for anything like that. No more Andrew Garfield. You're not bringing back Toby. I think it's highly unlikely that it'll be Tom Holland in any of these films. So I'm not going to write them off completely, but they're definitely coming in from. They've got a lot of groundwork and a lot of proving to do if they're going to get any kind of return on investment, or it's just going to be the same thing all over again. It's really going to be dependent on which characters they decide to focus on right out of the gate. But to pivot to the animation stuff a little bit, that is, I kind of feel similarly. Like, they've been so successful in animation that I'd be excited to see more from the animation. But is this going to be connected to the Spider-Verse movies that Lord and Miller have had their hand in, or is it going to be something completely separate? And the fact that Tom Hardy, even though he's just a producer, it's just like, you have this opportunity to do clean break. Why don't you just do the clean break? And whose palms has he greased over there at Sony to continue to be a part of this? And I don't have a big problem with Tom Hardy. I do think there was a period of time where he was fan casted as everything, and that was kind of frustrating for me. But I guess the hope here is that it will be connected to the Spider-Verse trilogy that we have on the way here. But if not, no harm, no foul. They could do something completely different. Venom is a character that is kind of like living ink. So if you wanted to do something really cool with that in an animated format, I'd be totally down for it.
Man, how do you fumble the golden goose of characters in your
the most
IP?
popular comic book character in the world.
But they have. It's so bizarre. They're kind of teetering on that DC territory of, is this universe or is this that universe? And it's getting a little to that point where it's like, oh my God, I don't know. If I was Sony, and I'm not, I would be really working hard to poach somebody from MCU land and get somebody from that side of the house to, well, it's not the same house, but from that house to come over and maybe retain all of your rights to your characters because you want to, because they're money makers, right? Spider-Man's going to print money. His villains, not so much, but Spider-Man is going to. And so what's the strategy? Where's the like hostile takeover of getting a creative person to come and be that bridge between Marvel and you, which would really be the best of both worlds for both studios, but they're not going to do that because Hollywood is selfish and Hollywood wants to make money, and I get that. I don't know. That's what I would do. If I was the CEO, I'd be like, hey, who can I get from over there to help me fix this? They also have like the Spider-Punk series they're developing, the Spider-Gwen series. I don't know if those are animated or live action. I can't remember. But that also worries me. It's like, you're spider webbing all these things out, and it's like, you're starting to maybe go a little too far. Maybe not. Maybe if they're kid-focused, kids are always going to watch that stuff. I don't know. It's get it together, Sony. My God.
Yeah, you have to realize, too, like the Tom Holland, we're going to share our most popular character with another studio crossover thing. People don't appreciate how wildly unique that was. And there's really not another example of that ever happening where you've got, especially at that level. And that's why when that first came out that he was going to be in Civil War, even though Disney didn't even own the character, it was so bizarre and it was such a weird thing. And I would not count on that happening again because we've kind of seen how it played out for Sony in particular. It played out very well for Marvel, but it did not really play out. Now, it played out, I mean, they still got to make all of their Marvel movies with Tom Holland and everything like that. But any attempt to spin off into that universe did not fly as long as it was not connected to that particular character that had been built up in another universe. And that muddied the waters about how much crossover could you actually have. So it became sort of a tricky situation. Like financially, can we call it a success? I mean, maybe depending on how all the profit split was and stuff like that. Pretty much, yeah. But it's like, could you actually build the franchise you wanted to build? And not really, because you tried to build the franchise away from the flagship character. And so people, anytime there's this conversation happens and people will comment like, well, why doesn't Sony just sell Spider-Man to Disney? Like, why does Disney not just buy Spider-Man? Like, that will never happen. That's not going to happen. In a million years will that happen. Sony got the most amazing return on investment that you could believe by buying Spider-Man. They bought Spider-Man when those rights were in the pits, and they have been cashing checks ever since. They will never sell that property to another studio. Definitely not Disney, and they'd be stupid to sell it and Disney like it to sell it to another studio. So that will not happen. All right, and you know, if Haley, you said like if we need a rethink this, you got to think about it as like, how can we build this in our own sort? How can we model the MCU? How can we make a movie about Spider-Man and make a movie about Miles and make a movie about Gwen Stacy and make a movie that then teams them up against other villains and have sort of our own miniature Avengers Spider universe? That's the vision. Like, if you want to actually create a Sonyverse that's sustainable and have it really feel fresh and be Spider-Man centered, you drive it through a Spider-Man, you cast somebody young, you cast 3 stars, and then you start to build out solo movies and you start to kind of build out your universe from there, and you stop making these villain series that are just apart and exist in their own thing. So, and
you make Marvel big. Like, you
yes,
make Marvel
you
come
build it
to
up,
you.
You build it up so
and you
good.
make them pay out the behind because, like, that's what you want to do.
You build up your Spider-Man so good over the course of movies and your Miles and your Gwen Stacy out to where Kevin Feige's got you on the phone like, we want to bring your guys into our thing. Like, we want them to come over for this movie. Can we do what we used to do? Like, that's what you do. You don't have to call like, Kevin, can we please just like make one thing with Tom, please? Like, no, like you own him. Like you got to build this thing from the ground up and then just like own your Spider-Verse.
But also do that because money for both of you.
Yeah. One last thing that came to mind, and we can move on, but it was at the mention of the DCU and what's going on over there. As much as I do think Sony's looking at the MCU and like, hey, how can we model ourselves after their success? I think there is an argument to be made. They might be looking at the DCU and the fact that we have a Clayface film coming out next October. They're like, see? We could have done it if we just done it right. So I bet
they're like, this is justifying our bad decisions. They're doing it just like we did. No, not just
me.
like you did, Sony. They're going to probably do it more competently.
Well, we'll wait for the box office on Clayface.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Jared Leto's not in it. It'll do fine.
All right, we've reached that point of the show that we're going to take a quick break here, but coming up after the break in the lightning round, we've got the live-action Scooby-Doo series has cast Daphne. Ming-Na Wen, one of our favorites, she's joining Percy Jackson's third season. Kristen Bell boards Sonic 4, and more. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Multiverse News. Hope everybody had a good break. It's good to be back. Whenever we get back, before we dive into the back half of the show with our Spotify poll and our lightning round and all that good stuff, we have to give some love to our Patreon. So which of my co-hosts would like to plug Patreon this week?
Go to patreon.com/multiverse newscast. We are there. It is only $4 a month. We give you such value for your $4 that we greatly appreciate. You can get some tangent talk, extra episodes sometimes. We give you your own special poll in addition to the Spotify poll you can vote in. And you get the episodes ad-free. You get our live streams when we're doing them. They go down from YouTube once we're done, so you get those and you can see all of our goofy behind-the-scenes nonsense. And again, it's just $4 a month. So go check it out. You also get a discount on our merch. I send you a sticker. It's fabulous. Patreon.com/multiverse newscast.
And this week we give a special shout out to our patron of the week, Nerdytastic. Thanks for supporting the show, Nerdytastic.
Nerdytastic.
All right, let's look at our weekly Spotify poll now. And last week we asked, I guess we were talking about some potential Severance spinoffs. So we asked, do you want Severance spinoffs? And 34% of the audience said yes, and 65% of the audience said no.
I forget that I was the only one that's currently here that was here last week. Yeah, this is happening, so ew. We don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Clearly, we don't like it.
I don't know anything about it, but it's just like the inherent appeal of Severance is the mystery and the quirkiness of this world, not having all the answers. So I think it's a disservice to, spin off this early on. It'd be one thing if the series had come out, had its entirety, we were able to have the conversation around that. Then you want to wait a few years and then do spin-offs or follow-ups or something. There's a conversation to be had there, but concurrent spin-offs I think is just a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's concurrent necessarily. I think they've pitched the show out at least to 5 seasons.
Okay. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
And then the potential for this. I mean, I guess to play devil's advocate, it could be kind of Twin Peaks-ish if you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think the story was that Apple had acquired all the rights to Severance, and then they had confirmed that they wanted to do 4 or 5 seasons at least, and there was the potential for spin-offs and kind of floating that idea, this could be sort of our flagship franchise kind of thing, which... Yeah, there's power in the mystery here. It reminds me of whenever we watched all the old Star Wars movies and we're like, who's this cool bounty hunter with the jetpack? And everybody wrote all this stuff about Boba Fett and his backstory and just oh my gosh, he showed up for 2 seconds and was the coolest dude ever. And then when they went and made the Clone Wars movie and Attack of the Clones and all this stuff, we got all this backstory. Everybody was kind of yeah, Boba, no, you took away my story that I made. It's It's like
Right.
let me dream a little bit on who the Egans are and like why Lumen exists and fill in the gaps here and there, and then just let me dream a little bit on the side. How about? You don't need to explain everything to me. I don't need a prequel.
Coming in 2030, Egan Family Matters.
Oh God.
A 4-part event.
The Egans.
All right, sounds like we're all pretty unified on this one, including our audience, with a few people that are open to it. We'll see what happens there.
We see you. We acknowledge you.
All right, let's turn to with that acknowledgement. Let's turn to the lightning
But
round.
we don't
acknowledge.
respect you. No, we respect you.
We will respect and acknowledge some of these lesser stories, and I don't say lesser because to say they're not important. They just didn't. We didn't have room for them as feature stories this time around. So we're going to quickly run through them, and the way the lightning round works is at their mention, everybody will have the opportunity to claim the story by chiming in with their name. We are all afforded a few rebuttals if we choose to use them. So with that out of the way, let's kick it off. McKinnick Grace is joining the Scooby-Doo live-action series at Netflix in the role of Daphne, Variety has learned from sources.
Haley, have we talked
Yeah,
about
we
this
did, but it's
show?
been a while. Like they confirmed
What?
it a while
Oh,
back.
Lordy.
It's supposed to be sort of like a story of how they all met kind of thing, like
Right.
the first season.
Oh my
So-
God.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That means we'll get the other 3 cast probably very soon, like in the next week or 2, I would imagine.
Should have called it Mystery Unincorporated.
not too late.
Snap.
Okay, next up, Kristen Bell has closed a deal to voice the character Amy Rose in Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
Jay, so I mean, Kristen Bell is going to voice act everything now. She is, I mean, she's apparently like an incredible voice actor from what I've heard about her in the studio. She's like robotic and just like voices everything like to perfection. So makes sense that you would get her involved. But this is a big get. I mean, and the Sonic franchise continues to do this. They get Idris Elba, they get Keanu Reeves, and now they're bringing in Kristen Bell. Like they're not Jim Carrey, I mean, they're not shying away from the star power at all in this franchise.
I hadn't really considered that fold of it, but it's just a testament to the fact that I believe her name is Shannon O'Shaughnessy, has been the voice of Tails for years and years and years, and she still managed to retain her role where so many of the voice actors have been replaced with bigger names. But yeah, I think it's a great get. I actually don't know much about Amy Rose. I know she's popped up in a few of the games, but I feel like she's not as prominent a character as the ones we've had thus far. So I'm excited to learn more about her, and having somebody like Kristen Bell voicing her will probably just make her that much more interesting and appealing.
Is she a hedgehog?
I believe she is a hedgehog. Yeah, she's kind of like a pink
Some-
version
some
of
kind of
Sonic, but she
animal.
Curious.
wields a mallet. Like she's almost like Harley Quinn in that sense. She's not zany or manic like that, but she does have a big old mallet.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Ming-Na Wen, Jennifer Beals, and Hubert Schmielecki have been cast as the Greek gods Hera, Demeter, and Apollo, respectively, in Season 3 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians in guest star roles.
Haley, sometimes I think Disney just keeps some of these actors like in a room, and Ming-Na Wen has become
Sure.
one of them because of her Star Wars stuff. But Jennifer Beals was also in the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm just like, are they in a room together? And they're just like, knock, knock, knock. Okay, you want to be some goddess?
They have like a group chat for the Book of Boba Fett. They're like, fire it up, get them in here.
I still have not gotten into season 2 of Percy Jackson. I just kind of really lost interest in it after the first season, even though I liked it. And however, you can put Ming-Na in whatever because she rules.
Was Jennifer Beals the Twi'lek that had the Okay, I was
Yeah.
wondering. Okay, that tracks.
She got.
Yep.
Oh, never mind. It's a spoiler. Sorry.
Paramount has moved up the release date for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem 2 to August 13th, 2027. It was previously slated for September 17th, 2027. Scotty, I think this is a good move. I think it's a move that makes sense. I recall when the previous film came out, it was an August release, and August 13th is, some kids may be going back to school at that point, but there's always something to be said about the dog days of summer towards the beginning of August and really the end of the summer. And I even remember, 12 years ago now, but Guardians of the Galaxy, that was an August release, early August release, but it was really able to capitalize on the lack of competition in the box office. So we're going to be talking about something else later in the lightning round that will be releasing September 17th. But even though, these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle animated films are for kids, I think there's a crossover audience there where a lot of people may be tempted to spend their time and money elsewhere come September, mid-September. But we'll talk about it when we get there.
I saw Mutant Mayhem in the theaters. I took my kids, and
yeah.
I loved it. Like, I thought it was really great and funny, and Ice Cube plays the villain, and he's like just
That's right.
Ice Cube and hilarious. My kids, though, one, they were scared of it, but also my youngest one was 2.5, and I was like, he can do this. And we're watching it, and then at one point, Ice Cube, his character is the Fly,
Right.
says like there's a little language in it sometimes. Like I didn't
Yeah.
realize that there would be a little bit of language in it, and like I could feel my wife getting like increasingly mad that I brought her to this movie as the language got worse and worse for kids, at least.
I probably steered you wrong on that one. I probably wasn't aware of
and
which was happening.
I think something happens, and he like punches something, and he goes like, "Y'all are really starting to piss me off." And I
that's right.
kid
That's
you
right.
not, my 2.5-year-old goes, "Y'all are really starting to piss me
No
off."
way.
And I was like, I'm so done. I was like, so yeah.
Cooked.
It was Mutant Mayhem doesn't have like
That's
the best
hilarious,
reputation
though.
in my house, but I
Sure.
will say that I really liked it, and I thought it was funny and great.
It's hilarious.
Get it, Joel.
Okay. Winona Ryder has been cast in a guest role in Netflix's Wednesday Season 3. The move reunites the Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands star with Wednesday director and executive producer Tim Burton, as well as with her Beetlejuice co-star Jenna Ortega.
Haley, of course she is. Of course she is. He's going to have his two muses on one thing. He's going to lose his mind. Let's go.
Where's I hate that I'm not remembering her name right now, but in the Harry Potter movie, she was Bellatrix Lestrange. She's always in Tim Burton stuff. She was married to him at one point in time, if I'm not mistaken.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helen Bonham, yeah, her. I'm surprised she hasn't joined Wednesday yet.
She's too busy being in the White Lotus. She's going to
Okay.
France.
There we go.
She's like, nah, I'm good. Although she was just in the new Agatha Christie thing on Netflix, Seven Dials. So she's in the Netflix world.
Okay. Ryan Coogler's reboot of The X-Files is officially moving forward with a pilot order at Hulu. Danielle Deadwyler is officially set to play one of the lead roles in the pilot, while the other lead role has yet to be cast. Scotty, I wish I could do the theme song as accurately as I want to, but I just don't have that in me.
They're trying to get. I mean, if you got the chance to work with Ryan Coogler right now, like that X-Files, I don't remember when that was first announced, but that was a long time ago that was first announced, and it's been it was pre-Sinners for sure that was put out there, and now that Sinners has become what it has become, it's like that they were calling him back up and begging for that on the platform. So that's a big get for Hulu, which is basically Disney Plus at this point, but it's a big get for that platform.
Yeah, and I mean, Fox owned X-Files, so it all makes sense. He's worked with both studios. He's worked over at Disney, which owns Hulu, blah, 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 and he's done Sinners with Warner Brothers, so
Sure.
he's dipping his toe into the big ones, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I don't know if I need him to play one of the lead roles, but Kumail Nanjiani is famously a big X-Files fan. Like, even in The Big Sick, like, he makes it part of his character how much he's obsessed with the X-Files. So I kind of hope he's included in some fashion, even if it's a bit role. I think that'd be fun to see. Netflix has debuted the first teaser trailer for the upcoming 6-part Pride and Prejudice adaptation series. The series is expected to debut sometime this fall.
Haley, I don't need this.
Yearning
I
is
don't
back.
Want it.
Yearning is so in right now.
I feel, my personal opinion is that Joe Wright's 2005 Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden is the best one. Did we need this? No, Will I watch it? Yes.
Listen, we're getting Toy Story 5. We're getting like new Harry Potter. We're getting like new Lord of the Rings. We're getting like, I mean, come on, it's reboot season, baby.
I know.
They're bringing the Sonyverse
They're
back.
bringing the Sonyverse back.
Oh God. Venom lives.
Tom Hanks will play President Abraham Lincoln in the Bardo, a live-action stop-motion animation hybrid film based on George Saunders' 2017 Booker Prize-winning novel, marking the actor's first time portraying a U.S. president. The film, directed by Duke Johnson and currently in production in London, centers on Lincoln's relationship with his recently deceased, obviously this was a long time ago, so he can't be currently recently deceased, 11-year-old son Willie, and explores themes of love, empathy, and grief through an ensemble of living and dead characters.
Jay, I did go Google, has Tom Hanks really not played a president before? Because I was like, he has to have played like Dwight Eisenhower or something. I mean... But nope, this is it. I have always had this book on my to be read for years, and I've still never picked it up. But I've heard that it's a really, really like emotionally moving story that plays with reality and themes like loss and kind of like how we process loss. And Lincoln famously dealt with serious bouts of depression his entire life, and so there's I'm definitely interested. I want to go read that book because I've just heard that I should read it for years and years, but maybe knowing that it's coming to a different screen, that should be enough to get me to finally pick it up.
I could see like a little mini trilogy between Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, maybe William Henry Harrison or something like that. You know, all tragic fates.
We need the William Henry Harrison movie at some point.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. 30 days. 30 days in office.
What's the one that's on Netflix right now? The Death by Lightning. I watched it. Which president is that got shot and... Oh, come on, Jay.
Yeah.
You teach this stuff.
What Death by Lightning?
Yeah, Matthew McFadden's in it. Second Matthew McFadden mention. Which president is that? Michael Shannon plays the president.
Like Garfield? Like the one that... Okay.
Garfield, yeah.
I didn't know that's who it's
He
about.
survived,
But yeah.
We get a lot of mileage out of our dead presidents.
But I was like, are we talking the president that got shot and the ones that got shot and lived, or the ones that got shot and died? So I was
right.
It's actually a pretty good series.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Enjoyed.
All right. Ed Skrein has been cast as Balder, the youngest son of Odin, in Prime Video's God of War live-action series, currently in pre-production in Vancouver. Scotty, I thought this was another just 10 out of 10 casting, in my opinion. Ed Skrein, I don't know if he's one of my favorite actors. I don't think he's ever turned in like a bad performance, but he just rarely stands out for me. But I think he is absolutely perfect for Balder. And it does kind of, bring to mind what I was talking about the last time I had an opportunity to talk about this adaptation. I wondered how much they're going to focus on the first game versus the events of the second games. And with this character's inclusion, there's going to be at least an arc that's devoted to the first game, which I think you have to in order to tell this full story and let it have the impact that it should have. So... I think Ed Skrein is really good at playing unlikable, as a lot of people probably saw in Deadpool, so I think you can expect more of that from Balder. And finally, Marvel announced the Wolverine game being developed by Insomniac will release September 15th, 2026. Scotty, this was the other thing I was talking about in connection to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I know when this comes out, for the last few years, I have not been buying games like when they first come out because I have such a backlog of games I've never played. I can usually get them on sale or used. I got to say, everything I've seen about this game, it may have to be probably not day one, but maybe week one or within the first couple of weeks of release. It's going to depend on what kind of reviews it gets. But I love the Spider-Man games, all three of them, if you include the Miles Morales spinoff there. But yeah, Wolverine is such a great character. It looks like they're really giving him the proper treatment, and it's really going to come down to the gameplay and the story. But I'm looking forward to some more marketing, and I'm sure they'll be showcasing some gameplay videos at some events coming up here soon.
Yeah, and Sony, speaking to our earlier conversation about the Sonyverse, if you want to take a page from your own playbook and how to make a standalone Spider-Man story, you've already done it in your Spider-Man video games.
Sure.
That's how you make a Spider-Man story that people will see in theaters. So take some notes from yourself.
Sure. All right, and that'll bring this edition of Multiverse News to a close. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in and being here. Let's go around the panel and let everybody else know what we have going on. So, Haley, why don't you kick us off here?
Brian and I are doing still lots of Secret Wars comics on source pages, reading those. We're getting close. We have like 15 primers left for that. It's kind of crazy. Ashley and I are still doing our Outlander rewatch. With season 5, we're going to move that over to Unqualified Opinions, which was always our goal anyway. So just look for that change in a few episodes. And then Oscars coverage over on Bingers is coming out.
And Mr. Jay Sisson.
Yeah, Commute the Podcast on Mondays, still dropping every week, so check that out. And then I do want to plug a couple weeks ago, Haley and I did a Patreon-exclusive episode. We talked about books, and we particularly focused on a book series called Dungeon Crawler Carl that we are both reading, and Haley is much further than I am, but at the time we were in the same spot. But so we talked about that, and we just kind of talked about reading in general and kind of like what that's looking like. And so that ended up being a patron-exclusive episode. So if you have been thinking about joining the Patreon, that is an episode that is over there. So maybe that's what you need to push you in that direction.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys were able to do that and do something nice for our patrons. I know we're trying to be more active in the feed overall. So to that end, we have done a couple of Multiverse reviews, brought those back recently. So a couple of weeks ago, or probably about a week ago at this point, we did Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which I know Matt talked a lot about how excited he was for it. And I just ended up absolutely loving that movie. So I encourage you to go check that one out. And then, the Bingers feed is going to be pretty busy right now between the Oscars coverage. And Matt and I have also been covering all the Scream movies. So I've actually been kind of impressed by how many we've been able to knock out. We only have 2 more to go before the movie comes out on Friday. So that's Scream 7 I'm referring to there. So check it out wherever you get your podcast, and you stay classy, Multiverse.